Dr. Alara Voss tightened her grip on the railing of the shuttle as it descended through the thick violet clouds of Clithor. The planet below shimmered with strange colors, glowing forests, jagged mountains, and rivers that reflected the light in unnatural hues. It had been 105 years since a human had set foot here. The entire galaxy had assumed Clithor's human settlements had vanished without a trace, leaving it to alien civilizations. Alara's heart raced with excitement and fear. She had trained for years for this mission, studying Clithor's biology, its unique atmosphere, and the mysterious species reported to inhabit the planet. Still, nothing could have prepared her for the first glimpse of its surface from the shuttle. The craft's landing gears touched the ground with a soft thud. The air outside was thick and sweet, carrying scents that reminded her of Earth's rainforests, yet alien. Each step she took away from the shuttle made her feel like an explorer walking into a story that had been written long before her arrival. Alara had only one goal: to study the alien tribe that had survived in isolation for over a century. But, as she approached their settlement, she realized she was not invisible. Shadows moved among the glowing structures, and she felt countless eyes watching her. Before she could take another step, a net shot out from the shadows, wrapping around her body. She struggled, but it was no use. The net was made of a strange material that hardened instantly on contact. She was lifted into the air, dangling as a group of creatures approached. The aliens were taller than humans, with sleek, elongated bodies, covered in shimmering scales. Their eyes glowed softly, shifting in color, and their limbs moved with unnerving precision. They spoke in a series of clicks and glows, their skin pulsing with light patterns that seemed to express meaning. Alara raised her hands in a gesture of peace. "I am not here to hurt you," she said, hoping her voice, though trembling, conveyed honesty. One of the aliens stepped forward. Its markings pulsed faster, a signal of warning or anger, she guessed. Another alien tilted its head, studying her closely. Alara realized this was a test. The aliens were trying to determine if she was a threat. Suddenly, one of the guards, or whatever they were, spoke in a voice that vibrated through the air, translated by her implant. Human. Intruder. Threat. Alara swallowed. "I am a scientist. I want to learn about you, not harm you." The aliens exchanged glows and clicks among themselves. Their communication was rapid and complicated. One of them gestured for her to follow. Alara hesitated, then nodded. She had no choice. Every instinct told her this was dangerous, yet staying put would not help. They led her to a large structure, made of living materials. Walls pulsed with light, and tendrils of bioluminescent plants intertwined with metal-like vines. The aliens moved with fluid grace, guiding her carefully. The settlement was unlike anything she had ever seen. Structures seemed alive, responding to the aliens' presence. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from deeper inside the settlement. Alara froze. The aliens tensed, and she realized she was in a place where every movement mattered. The growl was not just a sound. It was a warning. The creature that made it was likely trained or part of the tribe's defense. A taller alien approached and extended a glowing limb toward her. She realized it was a form of scanning. Her implant translated human. Scanned. Result: uncertain. Danger possible. Alara's mind raced. She needed to show them she was different, that humans were not mindless hunters. She carefully mimicked the glowing patterns of their bodies, hoping her movements would appear respectful rather than threatening. The alien's glow flickered as if considering her. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Then, surprisingly, the lead alien gestured for her to sit. A smaller alien approached with a container of clear liquid. She drank it. It was sweet and refreshing. The alien seemed to recognize her willingness to participate, her willingness to adapt. Alara noticed other members of the tribe watching from a distance. Some had expressions of curiosity, others caution. She realized that this first encounter would define how they saw humans, not as invaders but as beings capable of intelligence and respect. As she looked around, she noticed the forest surrounding the settlement. The glowing trees pulsed in harmony with the aliens' lights, and strange creatures flitted between branches. The air was alive with movement. She understood that the tribe's survival was not just about strength, it was about understanding the delicate balance of their world. Suddenly, a warning signal flashed across the settlement. The aliens' glows intensified, and their clicks became rapid. Something, or someone, was approaching. Ilara's heart pounded. Was it another alien tribe? A predator? Or a test of her courage? The lead alien looked at her, its eyes glowing a sharp blue. Her implant translated the meaning. Prepare, observe, survive. Ilara realized this was more than a scientific mission now. She had stepped into a world that could consume her if she made the wrong move. She had to rely on her wits, her knowledge, and her ability to adapt to survive. As the shadows grew closer, she felt a surge of determination. Humans had survived countless dangers on Earth and beyond. Perhaps this alien tribe would come to see that she was not just another human. They might see that humans had a way of surviving through intelligence, courage, and heart. The growl came closer, echoing through the glowing settlement. The aliens stiffened, ready to react. Ilara took a deep breath and readied herself. Her journey on Clithar had begun, and she knew the real challenge was just starting. Ilara's body trembled as the growl from the shadows grew louder. The glowing figures of the alien tribe stiffened, their luminescent markings flashing rapidly. She realized that she was standing on the edge of a critical moment. One wrong move could turn the tribe against her, or worse, the predators outside might strike first. She took a slow, deep breath and reminded herself of her training. The key to survival was understanding, not brute force. Humans had survived countless dangers by observing, adapting, and thinking creatively. She needed to show these aliens that she was more than just a human intruder. The lead alien, whose glowing patterns now pulsed like urgent warnings, gestured for her to kneel. Hesitantly, she complied. Every movement had to be deliberate and careful. She noticed the tribe communicated not only with sounds but with complex light patterns across their bodies. This was their language, and she had only minutes to learn enough to avoid danger. Ilara mimicked the slow rhythmic pulses of the aliens closest to her, careful to avoid flashing too quickly, which might signal aggression. She felt the tension, ease slightly as one of the younger aliens approached, its eyes glowing a soft green. It extended a delicate limb toward her, and for the first time she felt a sense of recognition. Not of fear, but of curiosity. Her implant translated fragments of the alien signals. Human, alive, potential, observe. She realized they were assessing her intelligence, testing whether humans could understand and adapt to their ways. Suddenly, the growl returned, louder this time, accompanied by the sound of something crashing through the glowing foliage outside. The tribe reacted instantly, forming a protective circle around her. Ilara's mind raced. If she panicked, she would betray her humanity. If she stayed calm, she might gain their trust. She spotted a gap between the trees and noticed a large predator moving toward them. It was unlike anything on Earth, a quadrupedal creature with bioluminescent stripes and eyes that reflected light like mirrors. Its steps were heavy, and its growl sent vibrations through the ground. The aliens prepared to attack, but their strategy seemed rigid, relying on instinct and numbers. Ilara knew that human ingenuity could make the difference. She quickly scanned the environment and noticed thick vines hanging from nearby trees. With careful gestures, she indicated to the aliens that the vines could be used as traps. At first, they hesitated, their lights flickering in confusion. Then, slowly, they understood, and began working together under her guidance. They pulled vines across a narrow path, creating a hidden snare. The predator approached, unaware of the trap. When it stepped onto the vines, it yelped and struggled, caught by the mechanism Ilara had suggested. The aliens cheered, or at least she assumed the glowing flashes and clicks were celebration. For the first time, Ilara felt a shift. The tribe was no longer merely observing her. They were listening, learning, and cooperating. Her quick thinking had proven that humans were capable of intelligence and strategy. She allowed herself a small smile, though she remained cautious. After the threat was neutralized, the lead alien stepped closer. Its glowing patterns were now calmer, slower, and more deliberate. Her implant translated: human, useful, communicate, learn. She realized that she had passed their first test, but this was only the beginning. Ilara spent the next several hours observing the tribe's behaviors. They moved with precise coordination, each action connected to another in a seamless chain of communication. She noticed their fascination with her gestures and expressions, as if they were studying not only her intelligence but her emotions. Using simple movements and her voice, she began trying to teach them basic human concepts, such as pointing to objects, showing curiosity, and demonstrating caution. The aliens responded with flashes of light, their bodies pulsing in patterns she could gradually interpret. Slowly, a rudimentary form of communication began today. The next morning, Clithar glowed with a soft violet light as Ilara stepped outside the alien settlement. The air was thick but pleasant, carrying the scent of strange flora and the hum of unseen creatures. She had spent the night observing the tribe, studying their light patterns and trying to understand the rhythm of their communication. Every flicker, pulse, and glow seemed to hold meaning, and she realized that learning this language would be essential to surviving and thriving. Here, Ilara approached Thalir, the young alien who had shown the most curiosity about her. Its light patterns were calm, almost inviting, and she felt a cautious sense of trust building. She remembered the first night, when the tribe had almost tried to devour her, and she shivered. So much had changed in just a short time. Thalir extended a glowing limb toward her and pulsed a sequence of lights. Her implant translated: observe, repeat, understand. Ilara nodded, pointing at herself and saying, Ilara, then trying to mimic the pulsing pattern as closely as she could. Thalir's glow flickered rapidly, signaling both approval and correction. She realized this would take patience. For hours, Ilara practiced, mimicking the pulses, noting the subtle differences, and learning the patterns. She discovered that the tribe's communication was deeply tied to emotion. Quick, sharp flashes conveyed urgency or anger. Slow rhythmic pulses expressed calm or curiosity, and overlapping patterns showed complex thoughts or warnings. She began to understand not just what they were saying but how they felt. While learning, she noticed small details about their culture. The aliens were deeply connected to their environment. Their homes were alive, responding to touch and movement. Plants grew along walls and seemed to react to the tribe's glowing signals. Every action was intentional, designed to maintain balance with nature. The tribe had survived 105 years without male humans, or any humans at all, by carefully studying and respecting the world around them. Ilara realized this was a society built on cooperation, observation, and adaptability. They admired cleverness and cunning, and every member had a role that contributed to the survival of all. She had much to learn, but she also began to see that human intelligence and creativity could be respected here. Over the next several days, Ilara worked closely with Thalir. She discovered that by combining her gestures with light pulses, she could express basic ideas: danger, food, help, and even friend. The tribe responded positively, slowly allowing her to move more freely through the settlement. 1. Afternoon, while exploring the outer perimeter, Ilara noticed a pattern in the glowing plants that seemed to act as signals for the tribe. She experimented with pulsing her hands in rhythm with the plants. To her surprise, the lights reacted, changing colors and patterns. She realized that the tribe had integrated biotech into every part of their environment, and this connection extended their communication far beyond mere language. Thalir pulsed excitedly at her discovery. Her implant translated: learn, share, teach. Ilara felt a thrill. This was more than survival now. She was starting to contribute to the tribe, showing that humans could bring new ideas without causing harm. That evening, a ritual began in the settlement. All the aliens gathered in a circle, their lights creating a mesmerizing pattern of colors and pulses. Ilara watched, fascinated. She realized that the ritual was a combination of storytelling, history, and social bonding. The tribe had survived without humans for over a century, but they had developed a culture that celebrated cleverness, loyalty, and survival skills. Ilara attempted to mimic their light patterns, telling her own story of Earth in simple gestures. The tribe's response was cautious but intrigued. Thalir's glow flickered brightly, signaling approval. For the first time, she felt like she belonged, at least partially, in this alien world. However, not all members were convinced. Some glared at her with rapid, sharp flashes, a warning that her presence was still new and strange. Ilara understood that earning full trust would take time. She had survived the first test, but the true challenge was becoming part of their society without being seen as a threat. Over the next week, Ilara continued learning. She observed the tribe hunting smaller creatures with intricate traps, built not just for efficiency, but as a test of intelligence. She noted how they used light pulses to coordinate silently, avoiding direct confrontation whenever possible. Humans might rely on weapons or brute strength, but here survival depended on strategy and clever thinking. Ilara practiced hunting with them, using her knowledge of biology and ecosystems. She helped identify edible plants, locate hidden water sources, and even predict the movements of small predators. Slowly, the tribe began to accept her input, adjusting their own methods based on her insights. She realized that this was the essence of HFY, human intelligence and adaptability adding value to an alien society. One night, Thalir pulsed urgently. A strange sound came from beyond the settlement, an unfamiliar growl, different from the predators they had seen before. The tribe's lights intensified, signaling alarm. Ilara's heart pounded. She was still learning, still vulnerable, but she knew she had to act. Using her understanding of the environment and the tribe's communication, she helped plan a defensive formation. They positioned themselves strategically, using both natural traps and their biotech tools. When the creature emerged, a massive, shadowy predator with reflective eyes, they were ready. Ilara coordinated signals between the tribe, her human instincts guiding their movements. The predator was driven off with minimal harm, and the tribe's lights flickered in admiration and relief. Thalir approached her afterward, pulsing softly. Human, clever, learn, trusted. Ilara smiled. She knew she had passed another critical milestone. She was no longer just an intruder. She was a participant in their world, a bridge between human ingenuity and alien culture. As she lay beneath the glowing trees that night, she realized that understanding the tribe's language was only the beginning. To truly survive, she would need to understand their history, their values, and their fears. Cloyther was a world full of challenges, but Ilara felt more confident than ever. Humans had survived countless trials on Earth and beyond, and perhaps, here too, their intelligence, courage, and adaptability could make a difference. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, she felt a sense of hope and belonging. She was learning not just to survive, but to thrive among a species that had lived without humans for over a century. Ilara awoke to the soft violet light of Clothar's twin suns, filtering through the glowing canopy. The night had been calm, but she knew the world outside the settlement was never truly safe. The tribe had begun to accept her presence, but trust was still fragile. Today she hoped to prove that humans could contribute something unique, intelligence and creativity that even the tribe could respect. Thalir approached her, its light patterns bright and rhythmic, signaling a sense of urgency and excitement. Her implant translated, human, help, observe, plan. Ilara nodded, understanding that an opportunity was coming, a chance to demonstrate that humans were not only survivors, but valuable allies. Soon, the warning signals began. A group of smaller alien creatures resembling predators approached the settlement's outskirts. They were clever, coordinated, and had avoided the traps set by the tribe. Normally, the aliens would react instinctively, using numbers and force. Ilara knew they needed strategy, not just brute strength. Listen, she said, pointing at the creatures and then at the surrounding terrain. She gestured to the glowing vines and bioluminescent plants. We can guide them, use the environment, trap them without harm. Thalir pulsed in acknowledgement, and several other tribe members gathered to observe her plan. Alara quickly explained her idea through gestures and light pulses she had learned to mimic. They would create a sequence of traps along a narrow canyon where the creatures had to pass. She showed how to rig the glowing vines so that when the predators stepped on them, they would be temporarily restrained, giving the tribe time to redirect them safely. At first, some tribe members hesitated. Humans had always been a mystery to them, strange and unpredictable. But seeing Alara work confidently, pointing, demonstrating, and solving problems calmly, they began to follow her instructions. Slowly the traps were set, and the canyon became a carefully orchestrated plan. When the predators arrived, Alara held her breath. Everything depended on timing and cooperation. The creatures moved cautiously, unaware of the traps. One by one, they triggered the mechanisms. The glowing vines caught them gently, and the tribe guided them back toward a safe area outside the settlement. No harm was done. The aliens' lights flashed wildly, a mix of relief and admiration. Thalir approached her, pulsing rapidly. Human. Clever. Help. Respected. Alara smiled, feeling a surge of pride. She had done more than survive. She had added value to their survival, proving that human intelligence could complement their instincts. Over the next several days, she continued, helping the tribe refine their methods. She taught them to observe predator patterns, predict weather changes, and identify edible plants more efficiently. The tribe listened and learned, incorporating her insights into their routines. For the first time in over a century, they were blending human ingenuity with their own deep understanding of Claythar. One evening, Lear pulsed excitedly and led Alara to a H. The morning sun bathed Claythar in soft violet light, but the peaceful glow could not hide the tension in the settlement. Alara sensed it immediately. From the hills beyond the glowing forests, a shadow moved, large, fast, and purposeful. It was not the small predators they had learned to handle. This was something different, something organized and dangerous. Thalir pulsed urgently, and the translations on her implant were sharp and clear. Invaders, strong, many. Defend, now. Ilara's heart pounded. The tribe had lived in isolation for over a century, relying on their intelligence and instincts, but now their skills would be tested against outsiders with unknown abilities. The aliens gathered quickly, their lights flashing in complex sequences, signaling alarm and strategy. Some were hesitant, unsure how to respond. Alara stepped forward, taking a deep breath. Humans had survived countless crises by observing, thinking, and adapting. She realized this was her moment, to show that human ingenuity could save lives. Listen, she said, using gestures and glowing patterns she had learned to mimic. She pointed toward the approaching group, then toward the terrain around them. We can use the land, we can guide them, we don't need to fight blindly. The tribe's pulses flickered uncertainly, but Thalir stepped forward, signaling them to follow her plan. Alara quickly explained a strategy. They would use natural traps, narrow passages, and coordinated light signals to confuse and redirect the invaders. It was not about brute force, it was about intelligence and teamwork. As the outsiders arrived, Alara saw the scope of the threat. They were heavily armored and moved in perfect coordination, unlike the predators she had faced before. But they underestimated the tribe, and Alara. She guided the aliens into strategic positions, pointing and signaling where each group should stand. Using vines, glowing plants, and small cliff edges, they created natural barriers that funneled the invaders into predictable paths. The first clash began when one invader stepped onto a glowing vine trap. It restrained him temporarily, giving the tribe time to react. Alara signaled the next sequence. Another invader moved too quickly, and she adapted in real time, creating a quick barrier using fallen branches and bioluminescent plants. Her mind worked like a machine, calculating possibilities and guiding the tribe through every move. Despite the chaos, the tribe began to trust her completely. They responded to her signals with precision, their pulses glowing brighter with each successful maneuver. It was clear that the combination of human ingenuity and the tribe's natural intelligence was far superior to the brute force of the outsiders. Hours passed in tense coordination. Ilara directed, the tribe executed, and the invaders grew frustrated. The terrain itself, once a challenge for humans, now became an advantage under her guidance. Narrow cliffs, glowing plants, and hidden snare traps turned the battle into a series of controlled engagements rather than chaotic conflict. At one point, an invader broke through a trap and rushed toward the settlement. Ilara acted without hesitation. She signaled the nearby aliens to flank him while she created a temporary barrier using vines and energy-conductive plants. The invader stumbled, trapped momentarily, allowing the tribe to safely redirect him away from the settlement. By midday, the invaders were exhausted, confused, and frustrated. They had underestimated the combined strength of human strategy and alien intelligence. The tribe, inspired by Ilara's calm decisiveness, gained confidence. Their pulses shone with pride and relief. Even the older, more cautious members of the tribe began to recognize the value humans could bring. When the last invader retreated into the forest, the tribe erupted in glowing celebration. Thalir approached Ilara, its lights flickering rapidly in excitement. Human, clever, brave, protector. Ilara felt a wave of relief and pride. She had not only survived the threat, but she had also proved that humans could lead and contribute in critical moments. That evening, the settlement gathered to honor the victory. The lights of the tribe created a brilliant display, pulsing in patterns that told the story of the day. Ilara stood quietly, watching. She realized that the tribe now saw her as more than a visitor. She was a partner, a strategist, and a trusted ally. Over the next few days, Ilara helped the tribe strengthen their defenses. She showed them ways to predict movement, reinforce traps, and optimize their living spaces using simple tools and clever arrangements. The tribe adapted quickly, their respect for her growing with each new lesson. One night, while observing the settlement, Ilara noticed Thalir watching her closely. Its pulses were soft and steady, almost contemplative. Her implant translated, "Human, bring change, good future." Ilara smiled. She realized that the tribe's survival, their culture, and their future could now be intertwined with humanity's knowledge and creativity. But she also knew that Clyther was not done testing her. The planet itself was unpredictable, full of dangers and mysteries. There were predators yet unseen, storms that could sweep entire areas, and perhaps even more alien tribes beyond the hills. Every day required vigilance, intelligence, and courage. Ilara felt a sense of purpose stronger than anything she had known on Earth. Humans were often underestimated, thought to rely on brute force or luck. Yet here she was, using observation, creativity, and quick thinking to protect an entire civilization. It was a powerful reminder that human intelligence could shine in ways no one could anticipate. As the twin suns set and the glowing forest bathed the settlement in gentle violet light, Ilara stood with Thalir by her side. She watched the tribe move through the settlement, confident, proud, and alive. They had survived 105 years without humans, but now together, they could face even greater challenges. Ilara felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had proven humanity's worth not through aggression or dominance, but through intelligence, strategy, and courage. Clyther was no longer just a strange planet. It was a place where humans could make a real difference, where ingenuity and heart mattered as much as strength, and she was ready for whatever came next. The twin suns of Clythar rose slowly over the glowing forests, casting long violet shadows across the settlement. The air was filled with a quiet hum, the pulse of life that had sustained the tribe for over a century. But now things were different. Ilara stood at the edge of the settlement, looking over the thriving community she had helped guide. She felt a mixture of pride, hope, and anticipation. After the recent threat from the invaders, the tribe had fully recognized her value. She was no longer just an observer or a visitor. They treated her as an equal, a teacher, and a problem solver. Her knowledge of human ingenuity, strategy, and adaptation had merged with their survival skills to create a stronger, more capable society. Thalir approached, its lights pulsing in calm, rhythmic patterns. Ilara's implant translated, human. Trusted, future, share, learn. She smiled. Together they began a new project, one that would mark a turning point for the tribe, building tools and systems that combined human science with alien technology. The first step was water management. Ilara demonstrated simple methods to purify and store water using natural materials and the tribe's bioluminescent plants. She explained, through gestures and light pulses, how water could be filtered and safely stored for long periods. The tribe quickly adapted the techniques, improving their efficiency and ensuring a stable supply even in the harshest conditions. Next, she focused on energy. The alien settlement was alive with glowing light, but it relied on natural processes that were unpredictable. Ilara devised a way to capture and store energy using simple circuits and organic materials, blending human technology with their biotech. The tribe was fascinated, watching as lights pulsed in new patterns, and slowly began to replicate her methods. As days passed, Ilara taught more lessons, building structures that could withstand storms, designing safe traps for predators, and creating systems to monitor the forest for threats. The tribe learned quickly, sometimes surpassing her expectations. Ilara realized that their intelligence combined with her guidance was creating something entirely new, a civilization stronger and smarter than before. One evening, Thalir led her to a hidden chamber beneath the settlement. The walls glowed, with carvings and images, remnants of humans who had visited Clythar long ago. Ilara traced the lines with her fingers, feeling a connection across time. The first humans had left lessons and warnings, but none had survived to guide the tribe, as she had. Now she was carrying that legacy forward. The tribe gathered in the main circle that night. Their lights pulsed in synchronized patterns, telling stories of survival, courage, and newfound trust. Ilara stood among them, communicating not just with gestures, but with the shared understanding of experience. She realized that the bond they had formed was more than language. It was mutual respect and shared purpose. Suddenly, a distant vibration traveled through the forest. Ilara and Thalir froze, their eyes scanning the horizon. It was not a predator this time. It was a group of explorers from another world, approaching Clythar for the first time in decades. Ilara's heart raced. This was humanity's chance to reconnect with a planet lost for 105 years. The tribe looked to her, unsure of what to do. Ilara raised her hand and began signaling. Using the skills she had taught them, they prepared a welcoming but cautious reception. The newcomers arrived, amazed at TL,